Iowa Solution-Oriented Roundtable Debate Series that Speaker Rance and myself will be holding over the next couple of weeks in several communities around the state. You have the schedule, so I won't repeat the schedule, but the way this came about in having a chance to travel the state, in fact, over the last several months since August the 17th, when an Iowa Worth Fighting For was announced, had a chance to make it to near all 99 communities, counties in the state. Will actually make it to all 99 by the end of this weekend. Iowans are hungry for solutions. Whether they're Republicans or Democrats, whether they consider themselves liberals or conservatives, what we found is that Iowans want their elected leadership, they want political leadership to offer solutions. The negativity, the sniping, the pandering, the platitudes have grown tiresome. Iowans are hurting, and Iowans want answers. And so in speaking to all of the Republican candidates for governor, with the exception of one, and that being Jerry Bean, found that there really weren't necessarily the answers or solutions coming forward. And then I had a chance to sit down with Speaker Rance. We actually met at Famous Dave's, and over the next 2 hours had a very spirited conversation. And later that day I called him up and said, you know, we ought to do a series of debates, Lincoln Douglas style, go around the state and address some issues. And let's not just do it in a superficial way or in a way that cheats the issues. We could have went around the state, did the same thing in 6 or 7 different communities, but we said let's take an issue in each community, deal with it in detail. In fact, we have a website that's been created that will allow these issues to be posted, the debates to be posted, IowaSolutionsDebate2010.com. And it gives Iowans a chance to hear a real substantive debate where we put forth our ideas. And he said yes. And so I'm very excited. And on that note, I will let him speak. And if you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer.
Morning, and thanks for coming and giving us a few moments of your time today. One of the things I've become increasingly concerned about, as I too have traveled around the state, is that despite the fact that I was facing a number of serious challenges, what's happening in the gubernatorial debate right now is it's become an issueless debate. It's more about who has the best name ID or personalities, and it's not really about ideas. It's not really about solutions. And so when John asked to sit down, when John says we had a spirited discussion, that's maybe being a little mild, but it was a constructive discussion. There's nothing wrong with an intellectual argument. That's how you get the best ideas. And I'm going to convince him he's wrong in a couple of these places. But when he suggested that we do sort of a Lincoln Douglas debate around the state, I thought that's exactly what Iowans need to hear. Be it Republicans or Democrats or independents, we need some thoughtful discussion. Be it about public safety, which will be our first discussion next week in Davenport. Be it about state government reform. Be it about education. Be it about tax policy. Too often, campaigns are dictated by 30-second sound bites. And the public ends up saying, you know, we've been spoon-fed, but there really isn't a lot of information there for us. And so the purpose of these debates is to spend a minimum of 90 minutes talking about in-depth solutions to very complicated problems. It won't be successful, however, if we don't get the public to participate. I mean, the last thing I want is just to spend 90 minutes with John. Going back and forth. We want to have public questions and a real conversation with Iowans across the state. And we think this is a format that will let that happen. It's not going to be about whose biography is this or whose name ID is that. It's going to be about who has the best idea to reform property taxes. Who's got the best idea to try to really improve educational quality, educational excellence in the state. And so we're making this announcement today, and then we're hitting the road next week, starting in Davenport, coming back to Des Moines, and we'll be in all corners of the state. And if we're successful with what we do in December and find that we get good turnout, we'd like to take it into the new year. But we think December is an excellent time to try to, as people sort of sit back and reflect on the year past, to give them some ideas about what the coming year may bring as well. Questions?
Jonathan, is this a prelude to you running for governor?
Is this? I'm going to take a step back.
A decade ago, I had a chance to go around the state and engage in a similar process. We pushed education reform and health reform, and we got a great deal accomplished. We also did a massive 99-county examination of Iowa. The goal then was to advance solutions, and the goal now is to advance solutions. You know, I said to Jason Clayworth when he asked me that question, I always laugh when I'm asked that question. I've also heard other rumors. I'm running for the Senate, running against Jack Hatch, Matt McCoy, I'm running, going to primary Grassley. That's not what this is about. This is about advancing solutions. A decade ago, we had a chance to accomplish a great deal. Unfortunately, when my marriage ended, a lot of that collapsed. When I left the school board, we got a lot accomplished. We got a couple dozen reforms through. But unfortunately, you cannot fix education without addressing issues at the state level. So, if I were running for governor, I wouldn't announce it here. If I don't run for governor, I won't confirm that here. I'll let you all speculate. What I'm going to focus on are the real critical issues facing Iowans, like 28 of our 29 urban school districts, urban high schools in our urban 8 officially failing. I'm going to focus on the fact that poverty, real poverty, is up in this state. I'm going to focus on the fact that we are a more divided community than ever. They just released the segregation indices for the state. Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines remain very segregated communities decades after the Civil Rights Movement. So we have some real critical issues facing the state. And while I think the media and the political class is focused on speculations, whether it's at the presidential level or at the state level, what this process is about is actually advancing some concrete ideas, like fixing Medicaid, for example, which is going to have a much greater impact on Iowans than who's running for office or who isn't.
How does this fit into your gubernatorial campaign?
It's a little bit of a risk and reward situation. Okay, it has great potential for reward in that I believe that we need to be out talking about issues. And so if I can engage more Iowans who typically might not come to a Republican Central Committee meeting or Chamber of Commerce meeting or something like that, and talk to them about my ideas on how we address some of these problems, that's a potential reward for me. Look, I'd love to do this kind of debate with any and all of the current Republican candidates running for governor. I don't think they're going to want to do that. Okay? The risk for me, however, as a candidate for running for governor is in this kind of a debate format, I'm going to say a lot of things, not all of which will be uniformly accepted. I mean, that's the way it goes in politics. After John puts it up on the website, it'll be there forever. So I may lay out something on property taxes or on education that, some Republicans will disagree with in the primary, and that may become fodder to be used against me as the campaign goes along. But the potential rewards outweigh the risks. I don't believe in campaigns that are just sound bites and 30-second ads. I believe campaigns have to be out about ideas. And if the other Republican candidates won't engage in that kind of a debate, I'll take it where I can get it. And when John made the offer, I thought about it and thought, you know what? There's more upside to this than there is downside. And the real upside is for Iowans. The real upside is for Iowans to actually hear an honest debate. And while we will probably disagree vociferously on a number of different issues, it'll also be a cordial debate. And one that's focused on how do we advance things, not how do we try to